already tested their photo right.
Yeah. So I passed out, you know. Well, it was great meeting all of you, hearing what your backgrounds are. I really hope that I get to learn more about you throughout this. I really want to do more conversations, so if you have any questions, don't sit on them, please ask, or if you have a comment, or you disagree with me, whatever, please speak up, that would be great. It sounds like I could learn a lot from all of you, and it sounds like we even have some broadcasting people here too, so that's awesome. So, brief background, my primary time is spent at CNET, where I do post-purchase content. So once you have your new iPhone or your new tablet or whatever it is, my goal is to show you how to make the most of it and inform you on what you need to know. So if it's an iPhone 6 and you heard about Apple Pay and you think that it's scary, I've probably got an article out there that tells you why it's awesome or more about it. So I've been at CNET for about 5 years now. I started in the labs where we receive products for reviews. That's our main thing, is we review products. And from there, I did some news reporting. I was on Geek Culture reporting for a while, and then I eventually went on to launch CNET How To, which is where I am now. And now that's kind of launched me into this other area where I do a lot of media appearances for CBS News. CBS owns us, and other media broadcasting companies. So that's a little bit about me, but what today I wanted to do is just sort of share with you how I conduct myself on social media. I have a lot of followers on Facebook. I think I'm somewhere around 170,000 now, which I feel like happened overnight. And I'm on Twitter and Pinterest, and I'll get into all of the other smaller niche social networks later. But hopefully, it can help you figure out, how you can go about your social media as well. So I want to talk about 3 things today. Things that you've probably heard about before, but from my personal perspective. One is authenticity. The other is building meaningful connections. And the third one is giving more than you get. So authenticity is really big for me, especially as a person who's branding herself. A lot of you are branding companies, but branding myself is, it's important to be authentic because I see a lot of companies and a lot of individuals go about it as, okay, we need to be authentic. It's something that we need to achieve. It's there, I'm here, how do we get it? But the beauty of authenticity is that you don't have to create it. It's something that you already have. So in the very beginning, when I was just getting on social media and learning to promote my content, I remember thinking, okay, do I want to be witty? Do I want to be funny? Do I want to be serious? I want people to take me seriously. And you just get kind of caught up in creating something that's not there. And eventually I learned, well, if I'm just myself, I don't have to work hard at creating something artificial on a daily basis. So you are consistent, and whether you are managing your own personal brand or a company brand, the best thing you can do is just stick to your natural voice, and things will be a whole lot easier. So I found that to be huge for me. Authenticity is also about showing your humanity and the processes behind what you do. So what I mean by that is I'm not just this perfect person who, publishes great content and is happy-go-lucky and things don't just come out of thin air. When I do a DIY project, it takes me time. I have to figure out the steps on how to get there, how to get to that final product. And one of the greatest things that I can do is show people that process. So especially in cooking, it's huge for me. If I'm working on a recipe, right now I'm making duck prosciutto, wish me luck. I will show people the beginning steps and the final product. And if the final product sucks, I will also show them that because I'm a human and I make mistakes. But what's great about showing people the process is that they become invested in you. So if they see the first step, they're going to want to see the last step. I think this is why Kickstarter is such a great example of success, because people invest early on before the product is even there. Kickstarter makes a big effort to make sure that their users show the process, show the behind the scenes, and that's a big deal because people want to feel invested, like I'm a part of this product, I'm a part of creating this product. And the same thing can be applied anywhere. So that's something that I try to do as much as possible, is show the behind the scenes. Don't just use social media to share my final products. Give them a peek into what happens before the product actually launches. And then the last thing on authenticity is I see a lot of missed opportunities with those 140 characters or those 1,000 plus character limits in your Facebook and Twitter feed. So on Facebook especially, you have like 1,000 characters you can use when you post something. So you can write paragraphs on paragraphs if you want to. But what most people end up doing is say it's like, turns out the iPhone 6 is bending in people's pockets, and all they write is like, this is crazy. And then hopefully people will click on the link. And this is something that I think Shell does really well too, is you can use that Facebook post to offer a different perspective. So once they click on the link and they're on your site, you've lost them. You've lost the opportunity to build a connection. Hopefully they'll come back later, but for that specific post, they're already gone. So instead, when I'm posting, say, about Apple Pay, and my article is, 1, 2, 3, 4, here's what you need to know, very straightforward, I'll use my Facebook post as an opportunity to say, hey, like when I was researching this topic, I found that a lot of people were really nervous about Apple Pay, and so this is why I did this post, and my biggest takeaway is X, Y, and Z, so if you want to learn even more, you don't even have to say that. At that point, they're like, oh, I want to know more, or like, there is a human behind your posting. So always remind people that there is a person posting the comments, because oftentimes I think that gets a little lost, especially when we're busy and we just need to get links out there. So the same thing I do on Twitter. I try not to just click the tweet button on an article and post the headline. I try to insert some sort of opinion, or what I'll do is sometimes I'll delete the headline entirely and pull out a snippet from the article that's kind of a teaser and put it there instead. But I think that what I've found, at least for my user base, is that people are conditioned to ignore headline speak and the typical cadence that you would find in a headline and in post. So you can offer something different that catches their attention. It's more likely that they'll favorite or retweet or hopefully click through on your link. So that's been a big help for me. And oftentimes when I do that, I also get more responses because people feel like I've been spending time on Twitter and I spent time to write that response, so maybe they can actually interact with me because I'm sitting there. So to that end, my biggest goal with social media is to build meaningful connections. You have to ditch the idea that social media is designed to promote your product. Social media is designed to connect with people. And whether you're a big brand or a small brand or an individual like me, that is still your goal. Again, I think that brands should operate as individuals. So whether that's a person who's running your social media account, that person should insert their voice and their authenticity throughout. Because people can't connect with businesses, people can't connect with entities, people connect with people. So in building meaningful relationships, one of the things I did early on, and I'm so glad I did, was I responded to nearly every tweet and Facebook comment that I got. That sounds really exhausting, especially for people who are managing large businesses, but what happened was I ended up with this army of evangelists who, to this day, and I started making a big effort in social media about 4 years ago, who to this day I recognize their usernames. They are still tweeting on my behalf on their feeds, and they follow me to whatever social network I go to, and they tell their friends. I see it, as I mentioned in their tweets. Hey, you should follow Sharon Focus. She's got awesome tips for your new iPhone. So try to spend 15 to 30 minutes every day just responding to people. And when they respond back, respond back again, but if it gets too crazy, you don't. Some people are getting really excited and just want to talk to you all day. So what's also great about that is I don't know if anybody else in this room has to deal with trolls on the internet. Okay, well, let me tell you. If you ever post a video on YouTube, do not read the comments. People love hiding behind anonymity, and what that turns into is this troll culture. And so sometimes, even if I'm super confident in whatever content I just posted that I created, I'll get a comment like, "Oh, thanks for your useless tip," and you know, it's based on nothing, and they just kind of want to, you know, poke. Is there a person there? Like, is there a human actually, like, on your Twitter account? Are you really Sharon? So they're just kind of poking and prodding, seeing what's up. So often I'll just respond and I'll say, "Hey, thanks so much for your feedback. I really appreciate it. Hopefully I'll catch you on the next one." Okay, 9 times out of 10, they respond back and go, "Oh, Sharon, I love your work." What? Okay. So you turn them around, and they will never, ever, at least 99% sure, they will never say anything rude again, because now they know that you are a human that's running your own account, or you're a business with a human running the account, and you're willing to make a connection with them that's based on positivity, not negativity. So this is something I really like doing. When I get a new follower, especially on Instagram, I'll just spend literally 20 seconds, I'll click through to their profile, and I'll look at a few photos. I think it makes them feel, I know it makes them feel like, again, you're paying attention, you're there, you care, you're building a connection, you're not just glad for that extra number on your follower list. And you know, whether or not I actually like their photos, I don't know. But they know that I'm there, and they know that I'm like, hey, it's basically me saying, hey, I really appreciate you following me. I'm not going to start commenting on everything, but I really appreciate your follow. So same thing with tweets. I'll favorite a few tweets, say, oh, cool, like, we're buddies now. It's like a handshake. It's a digital handshake. You should also spend time on niche social networks. So Facebook is obvious, Twitter is obvious. I also feel like Instagram and Pinterest these days are really obvious. There's also social networks like Goodreads. So I spend time on Goodreads. I like reading. So a lot of my followers will follow me there. And I'm also on a few apps, like lifestyle and fitness and food apps that my followers find me on. They are everywhere, so you should be everywhere. They have interests that go beyond what product you sell or the content you make, so you should have interests that go beyond that too. And a lot of people skip this step because they don't see the ROI, but if you are everywhere and they can build a connection with you on other social networks, what happens is it goes back to them investing in you. So now I follow Sharon on Goodreads. I see that she has keen interest in whatever, nonfiction books. So now I feel like I'm more connected with her when I talk to her on Twitter, and I want to see what she's posting because we have things in common. So I spend as much time as I can on niche networks, and I understand that even though it's the investment, the ROI isn't obvious and immediate, it's helping. And what happens when you do all of these things, when you're authentic, when you build your meaningful connections with people and spend time getting to know them and allowing them to get to know you, is that you now have a crowd that you can source. So many people talk about crowdsourcing as something that you need to do. We need to be crowdsourcing. It makes people feel like they're a part of you. Well, first you have to have the crowd that you can source. So if you don't do all these things first, you're going to be trying to recruit people that just aren't there. So now that I have all these followers, when I need, sometimes I don't have all the answers. You know, I say, hey, tell me something about your iPhone 6, like tell me something cool that you can do with your iPhone 6 that maybe I missed in my roundup of tips. And I will often get answers. And if I can, I will then go back to the article, add their tip, and credit them. And again, now they're invested, they are a part of your product. So from showing the behind-the-scenes process to including them in the process, now you have this full circle of allowing your followers to be a part of your brand. And what happens there, like, is more than we can really see because, okay, so Joey just became a part of my how to boost your iPhone 6 article. He's going to tell his friends how cool it is that he's in a CNET article now. And then his friends will come to my article. So the investment is so worth your time because there's this ripple effect. So I can't stress enough how much you should spend time connecting with your followers. And the last thing I want to mention is giving more than you get. And this is something that I sometimes stray from. And what it is that you should be posting content. Okay, think of your social media followers as your friends. Think of your customers as your friends. And think of Facebook as this place where we catch up on each other's lives, where we keep in touch with friends even though we don't see them in real life all the time. And think of your followers as those same people. So if you disappear for 3 weeks, your friend is going to be so mad at you when you come back 3 weeks later and you're asking them for clicks. What if you had a friend who only approached you when they needed something, right? So be consistent and post often, even if it's a post without a link, share your thoughts. If it's a post that links to a site that's not yours, that's even more awesome because now it doesn't feel as spammy as it did before. And I personally can't help but feel spammy when I'm only posting articles from the content publishers that I'm part of. So if I'm reading from a variety of sources on the web, then I also should be sharing from a variety of sources on the web. And that also goes back to just being authentic. You know, I don't just work at CNET. I'm this whole person who likes food, who likes all these other things. So here's a little peek into that. And that's really, those are the main things that I wanted to hit on. But
I have a question about